Before we do that, just to give you an update, the reason why Mayor Kraft is not here, earlier this afternoon, not too long ago, his blood pressure went extremely high and had to go take care of that, so he will not be here tonight. So we'll call this meeting in order. We will start with our pledge and prayer. I'll ask Alderman Probst to lead us in prayer. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you now with asking you to watch over us and care for us as we go through this meeting. Pray that you with the mayor as whatever's going on in his life. Pray that you give him healing as far as the sickness that's going on. I pray that you'd be with us as we take on the business of the city, we pray the town. I pray that you'd help us to know that we're being directed by you. I pray that you'd help us, each one of us, as we live our lives each day, to look to you for guidance and direction, and help us to be thankful for many blessings that you bless us with. Watch over the people of our town and help them to realize that God has blessed us in many ways, and help them to continue to know that God is with them each day. Thank you for all you do for us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I'll ask Town Clerk Ms. Spire to call roll, please.
Town of Vidalia Board of Aldermen roll call for the regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen dated March 14, 2023. Alderman Betts.
Present.
Alderwoman Denby. Here. Alderman Gardner.
Here.
Alderman Probst.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Let the record show that a quorum of the board is present and accounted for.
Okay, thank you. First on our agenda is approval of our minutes of previous meeting.
We're going to do them together or separate?
We can do these together? Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Alderman Galt, second by Alderman Smith, that we approve the meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that brings us to section for public comment on the agenda items. Is there anyone from the public that would wish to speak on the agenda items? If not, we'll move on to the presentation of our financial statement by Ms. Deborah.
Tonight's financial statements include the balance sheet as of January 31st, 2023, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the 7 months ending January 31st, 2023, a summary budget to actual comparison by fund, and a detailed budget to actual comparison by department. These financial statements have been distributed to all departments and aldermen for their review. In summary, the town has combined cash in the bank of $9.2 million, including restricted funds of $5.7 million in the hydro fund and $1.6 million in the sales tax fund. Investments of $9.7 million, which the hydro reserve fund has $2.3 million, the general fund has $1.5 million, and there's $705,000 of ARPA funds and $5 million of hydro funds invested with LAMP. Total assets are $49.1 million. Total liabilities are $7.1 million. The fund balance is $42 million. The statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance for the 7 months ending January 31st, 2023 indicates combined revenues of $24.5 million, total expenditures of $30.8 million, and a change in net position of a negative $6.3 million. At the end of January, revenues and expenses should be at or around 58% of budget. Overall, total revenues were at 48% of budget. Expenses were at 62% of budget. Transfers in and out were at 123% of budget, and the change in net position was a minus 388% of budget. As approved by the board, debts of the town were paid off in January, including $4.5 million on the transmission line, $5.7 million on the municipal complex debt, and $561,000 on the fire truck. These debt payoffs are the reason for the lower-than-expected net change in position. The budget has not been revised to reflect these board-approved changes. Revenues are lower than expected due to lower hydro royalties caused by low levels in the Mississippi River, but are offset by the increase in sales tax revenues. Expenses are higher due somewhat by the cost of repairs to the conveyor belt at the port, not reimbursed by insurance in January. In addition, natural gas purchases have exceeded the budget by $305,000 in only 7 months. Capital outlay is at 61% of the budget. Payoff of the fire truck has also increased expenses. We have received $408,000 in insurance proceeds for the $411,000 total cost of damages to the port. Vehicle lease payments are beginning to show up in these financial statements. Overall, we have leased 36 vehicles through February. We do anticipate the lease payments for all the town vehicles to be around $35,000 to $40,000 per month. The town has received $1.4 million in ARPA funds. From this amount, we have used $165,000 to help offset the citizens' electric costs for 3 months and $63,900 to help supplement the employee retention payments in 2022. The remaining amount has not been appropriated. Budget revisions will be necessary for the year 2022-23, and we will be meeting later this month to start the budget process for the 23-24 fiscal year.
All right, thank you, Ms. Deborah. Anyone have any questions for her? If not, we'll move to our next agenda items. Approval of occupational license. The first one that we have is Leanne's Vintage Emporium. Miss Leanne Mason. Someone here from there? Okay. I entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman Carter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Second one on our thing is Finders, Relics, and Resale. Marcus Sirocco.
I'll make a motion.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I made a motion.
Second.
Okay. Alderman's, motion to approve by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass. And third one we have is Vintage Soul Market and Boutique, Melissa Inman. Anyone hear from there?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, have a motion by Alderwoman Zimby and second by Alderman Smith to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Next is the approval of the sign applications. The first one that you have is the LSU Ag Center. You see it there.
Make that motion.
I have a motion by Alderman Goddard, second by
Second?
I'll second.
What you want?
Alderman Smith to approve the license. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The second one we have is for the Leanne's Vintage Emporium.
I'll make a motion.
Banner type. No banner?
We have a motion by Alderman Smith to approve. Second?
Was that gonna be a banner? It's just gonna be a banner instead?
Don't, it doesn't, it says a banner type sale.
Banner type.
Banner sign, type sign.
There's really nothing on here showing.
Banner type sign.
Good question. You can have banners up for a little
There's not
while.
really anything on here, is it?
Yeah.
Jay, did anybody talk with her?
I don't know, it doesn't have approval on it. You know anything about the sign, Jay?
I didn't speak to
Information.
I don't know what banner type means.
I don't either, and it's not really a picture of it,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah, I got it. That's what I got, but what's it look like? I don't,
Yeah. Okay.
it doesn't have anything other than that, and I don't know. I mean, you can't really look at that and tell what it is.
Okay. All right,
I guess when I saw banner type, I was thinking something in between two poles, but like a piece of wood or something, but I see it might be a banner.
I mean, if you look at that
Yeah.
other sign, you see that in
Yeah.
between two poles.
Uh-huh.
You don't even see anything where it's supported from or where it's fixed to, or,
you want to withdraw your
Yeah.
motion? All right.
I'm
Oh.
sure they'll have an explanation, but I think we
Right.
ought to look at it before we say okay, and then it goes up.
Yeah, Alderman Smith will withdraw his motion to approve, and we will put this back on next month's agenda once we find some more information.
All in favor of it?
I was just saying now, if it's legitimate,
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I hate to hold her up on it, you know, if it's a.
Well, we've approved the business, she can
Yeah,
open,
She can open.
Yeah.
she just don't have a
She can go,
sign,
Right.
so we can do that. Moving on to our next agenda item, we have board discussion and vote and approval of a resolution of wastewater system improvements and grants through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund program operated by the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. I'm going to ask Mr. J to give us a little information.
I know the boards in the past, the last couple of years, we've applied for these so-called water sector program grants to upgrade double capacity of the Vidalia Street lift station and for sewer upgrades at the sewer lagoon and aerated projects, things like that. So both of those grants, we went through the whole cycle 2 years in a row, got denied, did not make, the cuts on those. Most of those grants went, as it turns out, to these larger municipalities and cities for $20, $30 million grants. So, Brian Hammock's office found this program through the DEQ. So this revolving loan program, what makes it attractive is an extremely low interest, less than 1% right now. I think it's a 20-year payout. Some of this is forgivable up to, right now, I think the state law up to about $500,000. So what this would be, this resolution has in it that we'd be requesting about $5.6 million. But like I say, hopefully it's just another avenue maybe to gain these funds. Not a grant, but it is extremely low interest loan we want to see now. Doesn't obligate the town. This isn't obligating the town to do this. It just simply, part of the loan package, they need a resolution from the board that's willing to look at this. And if we get approved, then you come back to the board for, say, yay or nay, we want to go. So most of this is Vidalia Street lift station and double that capacity to fix that situation there. Then there's another $400,000 to $500,000 to upgrade sewer lagoon aerators, and hopefully that adds to the efficiency and lowers our cost on fuel and things like that. So that's what we're looking at. But like I say, This doesn't obligate the town in any way, shape, form, or fashion for a loan. It just puts us in line to get the package presented to DEQ for hopefully approval. Then y'all can decide then how to proceed.
And the grants, as far as the grants you were talking about, they're pretty much not available anymore, or you don't think we got another shot at them?
Well, we made 2 runs at this water sector program through Brian Hannett's office. Both times, they were, the contacts they had through the state said, oh, these look very favorable. You know, we had, it's based on a point system. Points were good. But in the end, both times, the majority of these funds ended up going to the larger system. So, for whatever reason, that really did not happen. So we thought this would be another avenue to pursue. Even though those other, there's still grant programs out there that they're looking at going after, but right now, this is what they, how they want to focus.
Okay.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I say, let's look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a motion by Alderman Probst.
You gonna make a motion?
It don't matter.
Okay.
Either or.
Okay. A motion by Alderman Gardner, second by Alderman Probst, that we pass this resolution for getting our name in the hat. Any other discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. For our next agenda item, the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to have, since we are voting to change the ordinance, the first thing that we have to do is have a public hearing. I would entertain a motion to enter into public hearing.
I make a motion.
Have a
Second.
motion by Alderman Smith,
Second.
second by Alderman Demby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will consider ourselves in public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to discuss or have questions concerning this change to our ordinance? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to exit public hearing.
I make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Demby,
Second.
second by Alderman Probst. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that brings us to the board discussion and vote and approval of the ordinance to amend the ordinance number 683, Town of Vidalia utility rate ordinance by adding the industrial renewable energy rider schedule. Any discussion? Remember, this was what we had talked about
Right.
last meeting, about changing our ordinance so they could get the green energy credits.
Yeah, I make that motion.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make it.
We have a motion by Alderman Smith to approve, second by
Second.
Robert. Alderman Gardner. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Again, brings us to item 6, but before we can move on item 6, we have to have a public hearing on this, so I will entertain a motion to enter into public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gardner, second by Alderman Demby to enter into public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we will consider ourselves in public hearing for discussion of the change of the ordinance of the employee handbook. Is there anyone that wishes to speak? If there's not, I will entertain a motion to close public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Alderman Gardner, second by
I say.
Alderman Smith to close public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. We will now take up item 6, board discussion and vote and approval of an ordinance to amend the employee handbook for the town of Vidalia. All right, I'll open it up for discussion.
I have about 3 things to say pertaining to that agenda item. First of all, if page 12 talks about holidays, I want to commend whoever decided to put Juneteenth on there as a holiday, because as the President of the United States has went to delegate that as a holiday. I think that is great that employees will be getting paid for that as a actual town holiday. The second thing is going to be on page 42, and it talks about the highlighted area that has been added. Policy applies to all employees, elected officials who work for the town, about pertaining to social media. My thought on this when I read this was, we can put rules and regulations in place for an actual employee who works for the town, who applies for a job for the town of Vidalia, who fills out an application for the town. But in some cases or instances, we cannot put certain things in place for elected officials. I'm gonna give you a prime example. Elected officials are not mandated by law to take drug tests. Regular city employees are. So it's just some things that we can't force elected officials to do because of motives or agendas that we may have against other elected officials. So I don't agree that that needs to be put in place on page number 42. We can look at it and talk about it, discuss it, however y'all see fit, but I just feel like from an elected official standpoint, we all have different platforms that we can use. And sometimes we may go to social media to get our point across to the people that's not sitting here in the meetings on today. Everybody needs to be informed. Everybody needs to know what's going on within our town because everybody lives here. Everybody may not choose to come to these meetings, so therefore, we're in a different time frame. Technology has advanced itself, and that's why I personally feel like why not use social media to get your point across, what may be going on. It may be something important where citizens may need to know. I don't feel like there's no issue or no concern with us because right now we're recording and it's live with Facebook going on social media. So I don't think that we should say that an elected official can not use social media as a media or way of getting information out there to the public. And my third thing is, it's not in here, but I know I talked to Pi pertaining to this. I think it needs to be added into the handbook as well. I know she looking like he ain't told me this, but I know she has certain dates that she do expense checks to be printed and cut out. I think if that's gonna be the case, I think it needs to be added in the handbook, the specific dates that you cut out different checks for.
That would be listed in our policy.
That's, okay.
Our policy and procedure, which is separate from
Oh, okay.
employees.
All right.
And that's because all employees don't get it.
Absolutely.
So,
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
You were talking, where is that, what page?
About which item that I was talking about, which one of the items?
I see it.
Social media?
Yeah, social media.
42,
42.
page 42.
Okay. In the handbook, yeah, all right. 42.
Any other discussion?
The employees must be happy with it, that's all I've got to say, because nobody was here to comment on it.
We have
I've got to
department
say.
heads. too.
Yeah. As department heads, have they seen that?
yes.
Uh,
It's got
They
emails,
have.
they have.
And I know certain people were here to help put this together. I don't, Joe, you might want to let them elaborate or say something.
That's what I wanted to say, just in discussion with it.
Right.
is
They may have things that's been highlighted that they may want to bring forth for us to know of.
I didn't
The
know if
ones
they
that
had
help
seen it
work-
or not, if y'all had
worked on it.
handed it to them.
I think one of the major things that changed, that we had discussed with department heads and stuff, to try to get things on even keel is regarding so-called sick time.
That's the
Now,
question.
these departments were handling sick time
And personal leave.
and personal leave.
And that's
So
my-
we had
that's
some
my-
departments being very strict, saying, hey, for doctor's excuse, you're not going to get others through the years have viewed it as almost like personal time. So what we did was just eliminate the sick time. It's, you know, right now the town gets employees get 7 sick days, 3 personal days. So we just changed it, we eliminated sick time, and changed it to 10 personal days that an employee takes
Right.
as they will. But where in the past, if somebody left, if you had accrued personal time, you didn't get paid for it. Well, we limited, in the handbook, it does limit that to still 3 days. So they're still not getting paid on the sick time if they leave employment. So it's just a way to kind of keep things consistent with the department. It makes it a little bit easier, I think, for the department heads, supervisors to kind of manage that part of it. So we thought that might kind of streamline things a little bit.
Okay. But they still have to have those excuses, and
Well, they still have to get approval to be off.
that's why I'm saying, and approval and excuses, they have to have that approval. Because I think some of them, though, I got personal days, well, I can just take off. No.
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 I mean, if they have the time available, they still have to, in advance, clear that with their department heads. Now, if they call in sick, if they're sick one day,
Right.
and they call in sick, then, you know, that's where the department head is going to approve it, but they have to have the personal time available, you know. So they're still going to have the same number of days between sick and personal. But where we thought the difference coming in of different departments was in that sick time and how to manage it.
And that's my question to each, I mean, I don't know about all of them back there, but that is the problem sometimes, is how they handle it, you know? So is this you think this is gonna make it where
Well,
they should be handling it the same, or?
Yeah.
well, we hope, you know, we talked about it here in our meetings, that, you know, if you're gonna have people that want to abuse time, try to
Right.
anyway. But if you're legitimately sick, you wake up one morning, you know, sick, the last thing you might want to feel like doing is going to the doctor. You might want to just need to be home. Well, if someone's, you know, hey, you're going to be sick, but you got to bring me a doctor's excuse for it. What if you can't get out of bed? You're sick, you know. Now, if it's longer than that, if it comes in 2 or 3 days, that's a different situation, but you would, you know, be going to the doctor.
Doctors when it come back.
We felt like you had some departments saying that through the past, sick time was much more lenient, they looked on it as like, almost like personal leave time, right? Others were on the other side, so we just tried to keep it consistent for employees from department to department. Maybe make it a little more easier to manage their time, and hopefully for the department heads to have a little bit easier way of, you know, getting this managed.
One other question on that, I know it's a problem a lot of times, and I know they handle it their way, I guess, but what's the factors on unscheduled absences? How does that work as far as, okay, you say you got to request your leave, you know, so you leave, I'm sick today. Well, next week I'm sick again. Next month I'm sick again. How many of those do you get? Can any department head answer that? Or is there,
Are you saying
like, you just keep,
absent without leave? Or-
right, without scheduled leave, yeah, how does
I
that?
think that's addressed in there where if it's more than, I think it was 3 times or 3 days, then they're subject to termination. If they don't
Right.
get approval from their department.
And that's what I wanted to find out, are all of the departments handling that in the same way? And I guess in a way, that's again, that's personnel, I'm not involved in that too much,
We
but,
tried this to clarify that, Alderman Rhodes, with that, to kind of put more specifics, I think, Ms. Scott, on this. We were in a lot of discussion with human resource attorney that we use.
Right,
on this,
right.
and Ms. Scott was in the end, so I don't know if she wants to address it, but that, we tried to get specific with that unapproved time off,
Right.
to
So what did y'all come up with on that?
And so, if I may, city manager, the premise is that the department heads would document and evaluate situations based on how they occur,
Mm-hmm.
and then report back to the city manager and the mayor, and the decision would be made.
Okay.
As far as eliminating the sick time, there's still the requirement to call your supervisor and
Right.
the required time to say, I will not be at work.
Right.
But as the city manager stated, some days you're sick, you don't have to go to the doctor.
Right.
So that clarified that, whereas if you're off one day and then you have to bring a doctor's excuse to come back. So rather than doing that, that would eliminate that problem. But the department heads will still have to be notified by the employee if they're not coming in. If it's an employee with excessive absences, that will be documented and it will be discussed with the city manager and the mayor and handled accordingly.
Okay.
So it was basically for clarity for those. And then you have several departments who are on call, as he was talking about, as far as clarifying the time factor.
Mm-hmm.
He worked closely with the city clerk. I wasn't aware of all the, especially with the water department and electricity, because there are emergencies that occur. And so they work together with the department heads to plan that out as far as comp time and regular time. So when you look at the sections of the handbook that pertains to attendance
Right.
and pay, the department heads work closely with the mayor, the city manager, and the city clerk to clarify the best methods to make sure that it's fair for the employer and the employee.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I read all that in there about that part. My thing was just about how they handled each absence that was unscheduled and if every department was handling it the same.
It's handled by the department head as far as
Okay.
call-ins, because it's different times. The streets and sanitations their hours are different.
Right.
But they have a required time to call in to Mr. Staggs, or whoever his designee is, who stays there, before work time, and it's the same way with the other departments. But
Okay.
it's the department head's responsibility to document and then communicate with the admin to determine the best, course of action.
Yeah. And I'm just saying that because it makes it easier on the department heads
Yeah.
if it is that's how it is, you know?
So I also have a question. Once this does get approved, will we just be handing this new revised employee handbook to the employees, or will we schedule a meeting and go over this and let them know specifics that they need to, that are important parts that have been changed or added or amended into this? How is it going to be handled? Because in my reason for asking that, we may have, and not to belittle anybody, we may have some illiterate employee who has been working for the town 20, 30 years, and if we don't speak this out or tell them verbally, they may not know. They may get this, they may look at it, and, so are we going to just hand this to them or schedule an actual meeting to go over it kind of sort of with departments?
Well, I think that's a good idea to try to talk to each department, Scott, and schedule things by departments, keep it smaller.
Right. And then they may have personal questions, and they may not want to ask the questions amongst everybody. They may just, feel comfortable with their department head or the HR person or whomever it may be, and they want to be more intimate with asking their questions. So that's why I asked that.
That's good. We'll coordinate that.
And we did also discuss distribution, for distribution of the handbook. There are some who want a hard copy, they can definitely get that. There are some who, do not mind getting an electronic copy as well. So there's something that the city manager has, we've discussed that as well.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make the motion to approve with item number 42, taking out the elected official part, only pertaining to the employees of the city. who are hired.
Okay. We have a motion, Alderman Goddard, to approve it with the deletion on page 42
Correct.
of the statement requiring elected
You
officials.
sure we got the same thing? You sure we got the same thing?
This,
What did you say?
I still haven't got
What you want?
They say they don't see it.
I don't see it.
this here,
That's what on page 42.
That's not what
I didn't see it.
I got it in
Where
there,
is
I
it?
got it in there.
Where
It's
is
not
it?
on our
It's not
42.
on mine. It's not.
I don't-
I've been
I don't-
looking everywhere for it.
here it is. No, let's see, where is your,
This is it. It says handbook, but it's not there. That's what I was asking Alderman
Clyde,
Gardner.
do you know where it's
What was he talking about?
41's? That's what I was.
40,
42, it's not,
I'm sorry, did I tell y'all about that? 42.
it's
I
different.
won't find. I
I'm
don't.
sorry, I may have told you the wrong page, but I had it highlighted.
You
no,
know,
it's 40,
it's
it's
42.
42 on this one.
But I don't have it in my book,
It's 42, I have two different copies.
Yeah.
and
I got you.
he doesn't have it either.
Let's see if there's
So
a,
that's when I was asking, where you all reading
That's
from?
why I was like,
Where's it coming from? Because I don't see it.
Yeah, I have two different copies. One that I just received today and one from, that came out on last Friday. So, was some changes made? I didn't,
You see it on you.
See, mine's
You see it on you.
did you have,
the one from, that came out last week
Page 36.
has it in it.
Say
The
I
one-
never see it.
that's different,
It was
yeah.
probably the way it was printed, it changed the page numbers on it.
The font's changed.
On the social media.
Yeah, there you go.
all right, now what you
There it is. There it is. It's there.
What's, he kept saying 42,
We
and
just
I
got-
knew it wasn't
We just got a
anything.
different version.
Okay.
So Alderman Gardner, would you like to change your motion to reflect that it's,
Page 36,
no longer a page number, but it just say the section of social media?
correct. Deletion of elected officials and just focus on city employees only.
All right. We have a motion. I hear a second. All right, I will declare that motion void for a lack of second.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like, especially an alderman ought to get on social media and, you know, we talk about John or the mayor, or, I don't think that's,
But regardless to however the decision is made tonight, you can't stop a elected official from saying, but if you want to put it in a handbook, you could do it, but it's
Yeah.
not by law that it has to be.
Okay.
So we're creating something, a law that's not even like,
Well, I'll just say, I mean, I feel like, and we talked about that because you asked me about it. And I said,
Right.
And I said, you know, I feel like social media is there for a purpose, but I'm not a fan of social media. I'm a fan of face-to-face, talk about it, you know, let's put it where it is, me and you talk about it. And it's my business and your business, and it's not everybody else's business, and that's the part I don't like, because I'm older, I guess. I don't get social media too much, because it creates a lot of problems. It's good in ways, yeah. It's fun in ways, as it's set in this deal, but we all have to be responsible for what we say, because it doesn't just stop here, it goes everywhere on social media. So that's my comments on it. I feel like I need to be responsible as anybody, you know, for what if I did social media, which I don't do Facebook, I don't do that kind of stuff. I text, but I don't, that's me, that's between me and that person, you know. I don't care who knows. I don't see a need out there for somebody to know what I got. So that's just my comment on it.
Okay. Is there another motion to be,
I have a question. Does this handbook, is it saying that it also governs elected officials?
that statement does?
Just
Yes.
this statement?
Yes. Yes. All right.
So if this book does not govern elected officials, why is that statement in it? That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Why is it in it? Why is it in the handbook? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't put it there.
Can anybody that worked on it and
Yeah,
just
why-
explain
why
her question, please?
This handbook does not govern elected officials.
And I'm quite sure it probably was the mayor, but he's absent right now, so he can't answer that.
So I'm just asking the question, if it has no effect upon elected officials, why does it say this policy applies to all employees and elected officials?
Because if that be the case, we might as well say all elected officials have to drug test, but we can't do that.
If y'all want to.
I could too,
I
but I
mean-
mean, we're not governed to do
Yeah, I
that.
know.
Can, Jay, do you know anything about it, that particular part?
No, this is, that provision was in there, but I don't know, you know, I don't have the reason before it's changed.
Well, I think
And I
that,
don't know if the old one addressed anything about that.
It did not.
I don't believe it addressed any type of social media. Well, it had social media things.
George, you the attorney, can you tell us your thoughts on it possibly? Elected official, I mean, we are elected by this. We are, I mean, see, that's the thing about it, we're not involved in personnel.
Exactly. So how are we gonna be governed by someone?
We're not involved in personnel. I mean, that's just not our responsibility.
It's not.
It's
So,
not,
but
that's-
we're gonna let them tell us.
But I mean, it's a good idea, though.
It's a point, but,
I don't think none
My
of us ought to be
constituents
airing
vote for
dirty
me.
laundry on
The
social media.
mayor.
and I agree with
We
you.
do not answer to the mayor.
That's why I made that statement I made.
Our constituents vote for us, and that's how we're elected, by our constituents.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying,
And that's-
I don't think
All right.
any of us ought to air the town's dirty laundry on social media. I mean,
I
we're
agree.
supposed to be,
100%.
we're supposed to be grown adults.
We are.
You know? I
All
mean,
right. So
it kind
again,
I think we need some more discussion on that.
I will entertain a motion to.
it's a shame that you got to put something that's common sense in a
Yeah.
handbook like that. I
Yeah.
guess that's the way we live today.
Mayor,
Let me say one thing.
I'm not against it, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
That's what I was fixing to say,
Yeah.
Mr. Rose.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm not
You're
against
right.
it at all.
I see what
because
Robert's
I
saying.
feel responsible for what I'm responsible for, and I am responsible to not go out on social media and do anything like that.
Well, my suggestion, we already had we had a motion that failed for lack of second. Whether you agree with the statement or not, it can always be changed. It's just we need to make a decision on whether we're going to approve what has been.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a
For the-
motion. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve because I want to get this to the employees.
Right.
And I think that's nothing that's involved in them, something about us. It's just not.
I agree with you.
All right, we have a motion by Alderman
I'll second
Scropes and a motion by Alderman Smith to approve the change in the ordinance for the handbook. Without any other discussion, all in favor?
Roll call, please, on that.
Roll call.
Motion made by Alderman Probst to approve the employee handbook. You are approving the handbook as is, as presented. Second by Alderman Smith, Alderman Betts,
Yes.
Alderwoman Denby,
yes,
Alderman Gardner,
No.
Alderman Probst,
Yes?
Alderman Smith.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay. That brings us to our next agenda item is board discussion and vote of approval to allow the Ducks Unlimited to sell alcoholic beverages at the Clarion Suites in Vidalia. My understanding is that their meeting in April will be Adams County and Concordia Parish chapters getting together. But it is required by their national organization to, wherever it's held for the jurisdiction, to approve the sale of alcohol. I think they sell drink tickets or something like that, and you get it that way. That's what this is for. They need the approval of the city of Vidalia to allow it to be done at the meeting that they have in April.
So would this be under a license like, or
Do what?
a license like?
Well, this is in view of a license. It's permission to do it.
So is this like the temporary license that the fundraiser that they had on the riverfront? Is it similar to the one that they had for the fundraiser for the kids?
Well, I guess it's temporary because it's for this one meeting only. But it's if they were to do anything else, they would have to have a license. But it's with this one meeting, they would like the permission to sell the alcoholic beverages to their membership.
No problem with it. I'll make a motion.
You make a motion? We have a motion by Alderman Smith to approve this. A second?
My
I
concern,
mean, if it's what you're telling me, I have no problem
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
we're not responsible.
I'll second the motion.
We're not responsible, correct? For
We're not.
selling alcohol. That's the main thing I got a concern.
We have a second by Alderman Gardner. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it carries. The next item on our agenda is the board discussion on a public announcement of transfer of property for the industrial inducement purposes with Siler Plus. Jay, you have anything you need to say on this?
This, and I see Peter Rogers here from Sauer, who might elaborate too, but this is, I believe, Peter, is phase 3 that this is involved in, for the expansion of Sauer, for ongoing additions and expansion, and we'll be putting 2 announcements in the paper regarding, that's the copy you have, is that intention to sell. There's 46 acre tract, I believe, Peter. So it's, say this continues from Sauer on that. And I don't know, Peter, if you got any other information. I know the mayor has spoken to you and Ann.
That's true. Thanks, Joe. We recently, as we announced to everybody, we applied for a government grant under the name of Siler Plus. We can't have a grant or a loan in the same company, in the US government. And we were supposed to get a grant in place, which will allow our 3rd expansion to occur. For that, we want the other side of the 13 acres up to where the substation is, which is roughly in line with the power line, and we'd like to purchase that from the city today. It'll allow us to go from the 3rd to a 4th expansion. Things being well and the economy staying strong for electric vehicles, which it looks like it will, because it's being strongly supported by the US government. So that's our plans going forward. What it means to the data and the surroundings is there'll be another 120 people worth of plants. And it's a rather large building project. It's 3 times larger than what we've already building right at the moment. So imagine there'll be a lot of people and additional money brought into the town. So I would like to see it succeed.
Okay.
Any questions I could answer for anybody? or-
There's no action to be taken by us. It's just a,
There's an announcement that we're planning on doing.
Bye.
say that again?
Just a public announcement that this is what we're
Right.
planning on doing.
Yes, a public announcement that we're going to do this. Right. For the agenda items 9, 10, and 11, and 12, without the mayor, there were some things that he wanted to be here to discuss. I would entertain a motion to table these agenda items until next month.
I make the motion.
You might know about the pricing schedule.
Have a motion by Alderman Denby and a second by Alderman Smith that we table agenda items 9, 10, 11, and 12. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? It carries. The next thing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Alderman Gardner, seconded by Alderman Probst that we adjourn.